where are we at on the science with masks? Because this is another thing where I hear one person say, "Oh no, the KN95s are the way to go," and then you see something else like, "Nope, those don't seem to work either." So where are we with masks?
Well, the reason why there's this controversy is because there's been so little effort to conduct high quality randomized studies that would resolve the question during the epidemic. Before the epidemic, in the science of mass in February of 2020, for instance, there were dozens of randomized studies in hospitals, in community settings, and elsewhere. Good randomized studies of both self-protection by mass and community level protection by mass. The dogma was the mass protect others but not you. Well, that had been tested by randomized studies before COVID on the flu, a virus that is similar in size and passes along along the same kind of pathways as COVID does. So we'd had a lot of these randomized studies, and they almost all uniformly found that masks were were either entirely ineffective or only very mildly effective at both protection against you getting the flu and also you passing the flu to others. That was the science in February 2020. Dozens of randomized studies, high quality, many of them. The switch to arguing that, and there were studies, of course, in hospital settings that masks are useful, but by people that are trained to wear them. They're fit tested. You don't touch their mouth, but they replace them very quickly or very often. They use very, very high quality N95 masks. In those kind of settings, there's some evidence that they are somewhat effective. So that was the science in 2020, in February 2020, but I think there was this enormous need to give the population some measure of control over their risk of COVID. And masks, people landed on masks almost immediately because it's some tangible thing you could do, and you could tell the public to do. So when Tony Fauci told the public in February, I think it was February or March 2020, early March 2020, that masks are not protective, he was reflecting accurately the consensus in the literature before that, at that time. That was not a lie. And later, when he essentially started overselling masks, or the former head of the CDC, Robert Redfield, actually said that masks were more effective than vaccines. You had the current head of the CDC, Rochelle Walensky, tweeting that masks were 80% effective against infection. That's not true. The switch to this idea that masks can help stop the spread of the disease has no basis in high quality studies. Instead, what you've seen is the CDC and other entities produce a whole bunch of physics studies where they say, okay, the mass spread by droplets, the mass stop droplets. In other words, the mass stop you from spitting on other people. That's true, 100% true. It reduces droplets. But the disease spreads also by aerosol. Aerosol is like clouds, droplets like rain. When you breathe, you produce some aerosols, little tiny invisible droplets that can contain the virus. And they have a physics that's very intuitive. They sit in the air for a long time. And so, if you wear glasses like me and you wear a mask, your glasses get clouded. Well, that is an aerosol going out the holes of the side and the top. The aerosols sit in the air for a long time. The masks don't prevent that. That's just a fact. And so it's not surprising that there have been now two randomized studies in the COVID era, one of community control in Bangladesh and one of self-protection in Denmark. And the Danish study found no statistically significant protection of wearing masks in terms of infections. Again, a randomized study. In Bangladesh, they found a small, something on the order of 11% efficacy. Imagine a vaccine is 11% efficacious. You probably wouldn't take it. uh, of mass, of mass, and most of the benefit was focused on surgical mass. No benefit at all from the from cloth mass in that study. Although the author of that study, for some reason, is misrepresenting the results as somehow large effects when they're very clearly small effects. Anyway, so the randomized evidence that exists on COVID confirms the randomized evidence that had existed before COVID. And for children, there is literally no randomized evidence whatsoever that masking children provides any benefit at all in terms of reducing the spread of the disease. And you would think that they would be less efficacious because children are not going to wear masks as effectively as trained adults.